أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله والحمد حقه كما يستحقه حمدا كثيرا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. So a man must look for a chaste woman to take as a wife. Many men say this. You know, when we say that you must look for a religious wife and to a woman that you must look for a religious husband, many people, or all people, they look for a good partner. They don't look for a bad person. Even the bad people in society, they look for good. No one looks for bad. Everyone wants good. But the difference is they look for what's good for themselves. In their opinion on what's good for themselves. Not in their opinion, not in the opinion of what Allah Azza wa Jal wants. See, I might think that a woman is appropriate for me, and this woman may not be appropriate for me. And we are told in the Quran that a wife that is a believer is better than a wife that is a polytheist, even if this is what you prefer. So I must be looking for a good wife. You always hear the statement where someone says, I want a religious wife, and then he marries the woman with the most likes on her Instagram because she's religious. That's what he's looking for. But the reality of the situation is, what is chastity? What is this form of affa and modesty that Allah Azza wa Jal requires from us? When Allah speaks about hijab, it's one of those things that people try and argue over and have their own opinion on the matter, like they do with music. You know, when someone comes in and says, listen, I've researched the Quran and I've read the hadith and I find that music is permissible and we are allowed to listen to it. They just come with their own opinion and they move along with their own opinion. And this is what they believe openly, but not what's in their heart, because they know this is wrong. Like the man that came to the sixth Imam and asked him about music. And the Imam said, on the day of judgment, there is only good and there is bad. Kullu shay'in yufraz. That everything either goes to paradise or goes to hell. He says, where would you place music? And the man says, in the middle. Doesn't want, but he knows. It's easy. You could say this is good or this is bad. But sometimes these things have things that back them, hadith that backs them. The verse in the Quran is subject to interpretation, and these interpretations are what tell you what this thing is. Likewise in hijab. Hijab, when Allah speaks about it in the Quran, He mentions the words وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ لِيُعْلَمَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ. And let them not, about the believing women, the women that want to be modest, not strike their feet or stamp their feet on the floor. Why would they do that? Because they used to wear bracelets and anklets, and when they stomp hard on the ground, there would be this shingling sound that they would hit onto each other to let you know that she has ornaments and decorations beneath her clothing. It says, do not let them do this, because They will make known what of the adornments are concealed. If this is the case, when it comes to something that's concealed, I'm not even allowed to let someone know that I have something concealed. Then how be it if I'm showing what's concealed? The situation becomes graver. The situation becomes more dangerous, even when it comes to their voices. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He says about speaking, He mentions in the verse, فَلَا تَخْضَعْنَ بِالْقَوْلِ, that do not soften your voice. When a woman is speaking to a man, not to soften her voice. Why? He says, فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ وَقُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. He says, do not do this, because the one who has a disease in their heart what would happen to them? They might covet. They might get affected. Who has a disease in their heart? Most men, if not all men. All men get affected. If you're a male, you get affected when a woman talks on the phone. Proof. When you see someone sitting down, if they're talking to a man, their voice is at its normal tone. The second they talk to a female, it drops to levels. You listen to it and you can hear it. You know he's talking to a female. And there's other characteristics. You'll see them when they want to talk to a female, they'll get up and leave the room. They won't do that. That's how you know if they're talking to a female. There's a different feeling when they hear a woman's voice. Even when it comes to a business, if you're going to a business and the secretary or the PA is generally a female, because when she talks, you're going to get business. People will say, all right, her voice is nice. There must be something else that's pretty. I should do business with this person. I should deal with this person. So I'm bound by these boundaries that I cannot even, as a female, as a sister, I cannot even allow someone to know what's concealed. Not let alone see it. I have to lower, I have to not sweeten my voice. I have to speak qawlan ma'rufa, means appropriate speech. Speak directly and properly and give him that no nonsense, I mean business tone when I talk. There's no chance that you and I are going to hook up. That kind of tone, that when I speak to them in this manner. See, the problem is when a woman wears hijab or modest clothing, she assumes that she's wearing a scuba diving kit. She assumes that she is fully protected like a scuba diver. That's what I'm saying. When he wears his scuba diving kit, sometimes you'll see scuba divers, they're wearing a wetsuit or a steamer, whatever they call it, and their breathing apparatus, and then you'll see them take risks with the marine life. You don't have gills, your oxygen will run out, number one. Number two, you don't have the speed to elude a predator. Number three, you're a human being wearing a wetsuit. If you act the wrong way, the sharks will attack you. Even if I'm wearing modest clothing, if I'm not cautious, then I leave myself open to be bothered in this manner. There are boundaries. I don't need to do something just because I want to show I'm liberated. Some women go to learning institutes just to show I'm free to learn. I'm not saying women shouldn't get an education. So keep your feminist ammo in the bandolier. No need to bring it out. Women have that right to learn. In fact, Rasulullah says to gain knowledge. Rasulullah says, is a farida ala kulli mu'minin wa mu'mina. It is obligatory on every male and female to gain knowledge. But gaining appropriate knowledge, not just going there, because most of the people that go and get a tertiary education know what takes place in universities. There's more socializing and less learning. People know there's a lot of socializing there. You see those people that are always at uni? You know that person that went to uni when he was 19 and you see him, he's 33, he's still at uni, but he doesn't have a doctorate, but he's always there. You know, everyone knows somebody like that. That's always there. But they haven't advanced any further in their lives. The workplace. Your wife, your women don't have to work so they can earn those extra bucks. I'm not against women getting work. But when it's not necessary, it's not necessary. Social media and the use of social media. These images where the woman makes her eyes green and all these little puppy dogs and flowers, and then they put it on the image and she's wearing hijab. And it's all okay for them. Just so they can get so many likes for how they look that morning. I'm not saying using social media is forbidden. But everything has its boundaries. Even when it comes to men, yani we're not only attacking the issue of women. And it seems the only reason I use the word attacking because people look at this as an attack. If it's bothering you, it is a problem that needs to be remedied. The problem is that I'm in danger and that you're in danger. We are all in danger of falling away from the path. The reason why we gather here, the reason why we congregate here, we see two parties from the very beginning. There are two parties, one that's with God and one that is against God. From the very beginning of your life, you hear about the stories of all those that disobeyed Allah and went astray. These people did not begin to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal immediately with their actions. These were built upon. That's why we are in danger. One wrong move leads to another, and then we fall off the righteous path. Iblis did not decide at the point when Allah Azza wa Jal said to him, Asjud li Adam, prostrate to Adam. He did not decide at that point that he wasn't going to prostrate to Adam. In fact, when Allah Azza wa Jal was making the mold of Adam, Iblis from this point, and even before this, said, if I'm ordered to be subservient to this being, I will refuse. From there he had the thought in his mind. Even before this, Allah mentions in the verse, when the angels question Allah, He says to them, أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ غَيْبَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَأَعْلَمُ مَا كُنْتُمْ تُبْدُونَ وَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ. I know what's unknown in the heavens and the earth, and I know what you let be known, and I know what you hide. What you conceal, I know. I know what Iblis has been concealing. This is what Allah Azza wa Jal was saying, because it's a builder. And if I move along this path and I disregard this and I don't take my dress code and my position and my relations and dealings with either gender properly, I'm going to fall into a problem. Sometimes people are seated with the opposite gender alone, in a room alone, and there's no aqd shar'i. And this is haram, this is khilwa, this is forbidden in all ways. It's absolutely forbidden for a male and female to be alone out of the sight of everybody else. This is something that's forbidden. It's not something that's up for debate. It's not something that's makruh. If you are not mahram to each other, you can't be alone. And in the hadith it says the third one amongst them is Iblis. This is where the shaitan works. But whatever happened to ghira? The word ghira, honestly, it doesn't have an English counterpart. Generally they use what as a word? They say jealousy. Yeah, there's no need for it. Honestly, the word ghira in Western standards, there's no need for it. Because ghira is considered what? Ghira is considered taboo and forbidden in Western civilization. The problem is, one of the afat, one of the problems of eating pork, it says it gives you ghira, it takes away your ghira. someone that eats pork loses their ghira. Why? Because this is of the problems of pork. There are a lot of other problems. Because if you look at the term dayuth that we use, dayuth, the Prophet ﷺ says a dayuth cannot smell the scent of paradise. Not won't go to paradise, can't even smell the scent of paradise. A dayuth, the term is usually given to a pig. This is the term, ajallakum Allah. That allows, a pig that allows the pigs around him to copulate with his mate. So they call that pig a dayuth. The terms also applied to believers and non-believers. Anyone that says I'm a Muslim or a non-Muslim or any human being, what I'm saying, it's not something that's exclusive to non-Muslims, that is okay with someone doing this with their partner or their wife or their spouse. Now, the term that's used in English, they generally use is cuckold. When they say someone is a cuckold, it's someone that is into this, that allows this to take place. And this is abhorrent in Islam. However, there is levels of where I end up down there. It's a path that people go down and they don't care. There's different levels. For example, Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi says, "Affu an nisa an-nas ta'affu nisa'akum." If you notice the guys that are always checking out other people's women and looking around, they're the same people that don't care when their wives are being checked out. They don't have the ghira because they're always looking at other people's. They don't have this ghira. Ma zana ghayurun qat, the Imam says. That someone that has ghira, that care for the womankind, does not commit adultery because they don't look at this as something that is acceptable. They would never approach this. Why have people lost their ghira? In general, if you look, there's different levels of it. Why is it today you find people have deterred from this? Because we have trivialized everything. This is the biggest problem. And I know a lot of people get upset when I bring up this subject, but it's necessary. That when a woman wants to go see a doctor, a GP, they go see a male. And they go no issue with the male touching them. Same likewise with a male that goes and sees a female. They got no issue. In fact, we have aided the doctors to find this trivial and normal. We've aided them because we've never kicked up a stink about it. We've never made an issue with it. And in fact, the doctor protests about it. He says, I'm a professional. There's nothing wrong with I'm doing this. This is something that's absolutely normal. You need to accept this. The doctors only reached this point because people allowed them to reach this point. People made them feel that this is normal. In fact, when I was overseas, they used to have male doctors going to the schools. Listen to this. This is schools, these were government schools, but in Islamic areas. The doctor would enter the school to check the kids for nits, as if you need a doctor to check for nits. Like any mother knows how to check for nits. As if you need a doctor to check if someone has lice in their hair. Now the doctor was checking even females that were wearing hijab. To take off their hijab, this took place while I was there. I couldn't believe that the parents were indifferent to it. They said he's a doctor. And in fact, this man was so, and I don't want to use any, he was so lewd. I don't want to go too far. I think that's far enough. He was so lewd that he would tell these girls, and some of these girls were 12 years old, not even married. He would say, don't worry about it. I'm more halal on you than your own husband. They're not even married. This is the manner he was talking to them. The parents were indifferent to it. They were so normal, and then they reached the point where you have here, I don't know if he's still there, but in Cogra Hospital, Central Hospital, you have a male midwife. A male midwife, for God's sake. And some people are okay with this male midwife delivering their child. They're okay with this. The term is midwifery. He's male. It doesn't compute at all. So anyway, the reason why this spreads, why? Because there needs to be unanimity. We need to all be unanimous in our decision against these things, so there's legislation for these things. Take, for example, the two best lobby groups in the world. I always use them as an example because they get everything done. The Jewish lobby and the homosexual lobby. They do everything and it's done. They are so strong that in Germany, if you claim that less than 6 million, if you say 5,900,000 Jews were killed by Nazi Germany, you get prosecuted and you will go to jail because you denied 100,000 Jews being killed. That's power. You look at the Muslims, no, it's okay. Male wants to see my wife, ahla wa sahla. She's got the measles. Anyone can look at her. Why does it have to be a male? On top of this, if you recall last year when they wanted the yes vote, every code of sport was jumping up and down with rainbow flags. Every bank was jumping up and down with rainbow flags. The whole world went rainbow. Why? Even though they didn't believe in it, because they fear these lobby groups. But the Muslims, when they even wanted to make a fuss about the handshaking fiasco, what happened? They crushed them like an elephant crushes a watermelon with his foot. They put them out because the Muslims start fighting against each other. The Muslims start saying, oh, we don't accept this and you don't accept that, and this is not, in my version of Islam, I don't believe in this. And you get every single imam that can come out and get on the news and start to challenge everything. Yet, when it comes to these other groups, I don't know if you remember, there was a radio jockey called Mike Carlton in the mornings. Mike Carlton was your alternative to Alan Jones, and he was a good alternative because he had some good opinions when he spoke. He spoke against the 2004, that's pretty much what ended his job, his 2014 Gaza raids. He spoke against the methods of the Zionists, and this pretty much ended his job. And before that, he spoke against a lot of the reasons why the Americans went to war in Iraq. Mike Carlton, when he gave his opinion against everything he wanted to, the thing that ended his job was what? When he spoke against the Zionists. Ended his job. See, sometimes we look and say, see, I look at them with awe. I go, look at this, 14 to 20 million people, whatever the number is, and they can stop everything. Yet the Muslims are 1.6 billion, and they can't even prevent a man from touching their wife in the hospital. Now, someone will turn around and say, hold on. What if it's a case of emergency? If it's a case of emergency, it's an emergency. It's an emergency, it's an emergency. Just like when you are hungry and you need to eat, like, I don't know if you studied early Australian explorers, Sir Douglas Mawson, who is the reason why we, as Australia, owns 48% of Antarctica, because he discovered it. So this guy, when he was out and he got lost, they lost their huskies and all that, they say that there is a possibility, due to hunger, they ate some of the dogs. There is a possibility that he ate some of the other explorers that died. Under Islamic law, if I'm starving, I'm famished, and there is a human next to me, and this is my only form of sustenance for me to survive, in that instance, I'm allowed to eat enough to not die. You're allowed. Does that mean all of a sudden we say, hey, let's all become cannibals? Let's just start eating humans whenever we want. This is a situation where people went wrong. In an emergency situation where you need to see a male doctor, then you see a male doctor. The problem is, and it's an epidemic not only here in the Middle East, many females go and see male gynecologists. Even though, if you look at the world, at least half the world's gynecologists are female. Do you know that? United States of America, half the world's obstetric gynecologists are female. In fact, they're talking about now men are starting to go see female urologists. Urologists, طبعا we don't have what we call an andrologist, someone that specializes in men. They don't usually use that term. But a urologist is someone that deals with the men's private part and the females, because it has to do with everything from the bladder down. But we only have less than 10% of the world, طبعا the way they've taken the surveys in the world, of females that are urologists. So, in other words, I really have to go out of my way to go see a female urologist. This hasn't started, but I'm just preparing everyone to where we're heading. Likewise, as you find with females that go and see male gynecologists in this case. Another excuse that the women will use is that men or male doctors are better than females. I've heard a lot of females, they'll tell you, I don't trust a female doctor. I only trust a male. She's a doctor, she's a qualified professional. She knows what she's doing just like the man knows what he's doing. For you to say that she is incompetent, for you to say that I don't want to see her because I find her incompetent is silly. But they know how to do their job just like the man does his job. I know when men sit together, they might joke. Just as the women, when they sit together, men might say, oh, it's a woman, or the men sit together, joke, oh, say he's only a man. But in reality, anyone that is qualified in a field understands the field like another person. So why does a woman deter from this? Something like this has caused the world to lose this regard to women. This feeling where I have to protect my wife and my daughters from such things. And this is what has caused men not to respect other women. And this is what has caused females to start dressing in the wrong way in order to attract the attention of men. Because men no longer, when it comes to marriage, they no longer look towards a woman that's wearing precise hijab. What do they look for now? They look for the cake face. They look for the woman that's just poured on the makeup. They look for the Botox lips. They look for all these adjustments that exist. And I know some people get offended. I don't care. I'm not here to make friends. I always say that. I'm happy sitting at home on my couch. But this is what it is. This is the reality of the situation. And it's not about this. Like I said, it's a disservice to the mambar if I sit there and say, MashaAllah, like in the case of one of the scholars I was talking to, he said a woman sat in front of him. And he said, and she was sitting down, he said he was at one of the these meetings where they bring all walks of life. It was some, they call it in Arabic a mu'tamar. What's the translation for it? Huh? A conference, ahsant, lost the word. They're sitting at a conference and this woman sat next to him and she was wearing something inappropriate. And she said, many people say things about me, bad things, because of the way that I dress. She said, the manner that I'm dressed in, people say bad things about me. She said, is this correct? He said, I was stumped. I didn't know what to reply. I said, God, I wish I was there. God, I wish I was there. Why? Because I would have known what to say. I will tell you something. If you wear the uniform of anything or you dress in the code of anything, you represent that thing. A Muslim woman dresses in hijab. Any Muslim woman, not non-Muslim, any Muslim woman that doesn't wear hijab is not wearing the correct dress of a Muslim woman. And she knows this. It's like every Muslim has to perform their prayers. Any Muslim that doesn't perform their prayers is not a practicing Muslim. They are lacking in this department. A woman that doesn't wear her hijab is lacking in this department. Even if I do it partially, even if I wear hijab with makeup, even if I wear my hijab and it's tight, even if I wear my hijab inappropriately, I'm still not wearing the hijab. If you meet a person that says I'm a social drinker, that I drink occasionally, and if you call them an alcoholic, they get upset. They find offense to that, but they are alcoholic. They don't binge drink, but they're an alcoholic. they engage in drinking alcoholic beverages. If you meet someone that belongs to a 1%er motorcycle club, if you call it a motorcycle gang, they get upset. How can you call me a gang member? For God's sake, you have 1% on your jacket. What do you think the 1% stands for? 99% is meant to suggest that 99% of motorcycle clubs are good law-abiding citizens. That 1% represents 1%ers. We are the 1% that are not law-abiding. So you're a criminal. So you're a gang. Why do you get offended? Why do I get offended when someone associates me if I dress in the colors? If I wish to be a Muslim, if I wish to be considered chaste, and I wish to be law-abiding, then I dress in this manner. One of the biggest calamities and the biggest tragedies of Karbala that we mention and is written about is the fact that the women have their veils removed. This is one of the biggest tragedies. In fact, when they ask Al-Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam about all the tragedies that take place, that he was weeping, they say, why are you weeping? Have you not said that death is habitual for you? You are killed, Ahl al-Bayt have been killed, and you have been dignified with martyrdom. Why is it do you weep? Do you weep over your father Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? Do you weep over your uncle Abu Fadl Abbas? What was the biggest tragedy that took place with regard to you? He mentions 3 times, he says, Asham, Asham, Asham. Why? He says, because there we were, the women were taken captive without their veils. They were paraded through the streets. You a believer that's ghayur. You are ghayur, meaning that you have regard not only for your religion, for the womankind. And you are here. And this shows your ghira because you have attended these majalis. When you see something like this, how do you not have ghira when it comes to your family? How do you not have ghira when it comes to the women in your family? We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to place within our hearts this ghira, to keep us away from sin, and to not take us until He's pleased with our actions. والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى اللهم على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.